IUIC and Seneca Village. Yeah, what's going on, party people? The place to be. I go by the name of the BK Apologist, transmitting all the way live. New York is the city, Brooklyn is the borough. What's good? What's popping? Hope everybody's doing well. You know what I mean? Yeah, I hope you guys are having a good time during this, this pagan season known as Christmas. You know, of course, Christmas is not pagan. I'm just playing. But yeah, here we are, man. Here we are once again doing what we do. And of course, as always, if you have yet to do it, I'm hopeful that you will like, share, and subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend. It's him again. We're winding down on the final weeks of this year. And I'm still trying to get to 5,000 subs. I'm less than, I think, 100 subs away from 5K. So please check to see if you already have subscribed, because you might think you have subscribed, but you might not have. So double check, make sure you subscribe, and then click the bell to be notified when BK pops up and does what he do. And if you like what he do, please become a Patreon, where you can find an assortment of goodies to enhance your personal Bible study. So we got Mr. Phil Fox. Check it in. The real American. The real American. The only guy who's not an immigrant around here. That's Mr. Phil Fox. All right, let's just be clear with that. All right, let's be clear with that. So, I found another video from IUIC. It's weird because they do these little reels, right? Claiming Black history moments, right? And a lot of these moments have to deal with the church, but they love to take credit for it for some odd reason. And I'm going to keep calling them on it because it's hypocritical for them to do that. And the latest example of them hijacking from the church, believe it or not, is they did a video about the origin of Seneca Village in New York. All right? So we're going to look at it, and of course, I'm going to have some commentary to share.
This is what you didn't know about Central Park. So, prior to the name Central Park, this area in the Upper West Side of Manhattan was formerly known as Seneca Village, which was a middle-class Black community. So in 1825, a 25-year-old shoe shiner by the name of Andrew Williams, he actually bought this land 2 years prior to slavery being abolished in New York. Fleeing from the discrimination and from the diseases of downtown Manhattan, many Blacks followed and settled within this land, creating Seneca Village. There were over 350 Black families living in Seneca Village. We had school systems set up, we had churches, gardening, livestock, and we also had a cemetery. Shortly after, the city forced the people of Seneca out from this village and completely destroyed all their labors, creating what we know as today, Central Park, which is prophesied within the Bible. Deuteronomy chapter 28.
Yeah, so once again, notice what he says in the beginning, that this individual, this Black individual, brought property at what we now call Central Park 2 years prior to slavery being abolished. wait a minute. I thought we was under the curses. So you mean to tell me during the time he was suffering the curses, quote unquote, he was able to purchase land? That's interesting. Well, maybe he wasn't a Hebrew Israelite, right? Maybe he was a Hamite, right? Because then it's apply to him, right? The nasty Africans, right? Maybe that's the issue here. But then he says there were over 350 black families in Seneca Village. We had school systems set up. We had churches, gardening, livestock. We also had a cemetery. Why is it that you guys keep speaking French now when you want to take credit for what the church has done? There is no we here. There is no we. You guys did nothing here. Okay? The church did something here. They were not claiming to be Hebrew Israelites, and they definitely weren't claiming your doctrine. But you want to say we now. It's nasty work. You guys got it's hypocritical. So let's learn a little bit about Seneca Village, right? 3 churches that blacks could attend were located in Seneca Village. There was 3 of them. The African Methodist Episcopal Zion Church was the first among the purchasers of land in the village in 1825. A church, a black church, helped purchase land to create Seneca Village and later opened a branch of the church there in 1853. The AME Zion Church branch militant. The African Union Methodist Church moved its York Hill branch there in the late 1830s after the York Hill community was destroyed. Finally, St. Michael's, an Episcopal church on 99th Street and Broadway, opened the integrated All Angels Church as a mission church in Seneca Village in the late 1840s. At least one school operated in Seneca Village, Colored School Number 3, a primary school that opened in the basement of the African Union Church. So we have a black church that purchases the land. Other churches come in throughout the years. And the schools that you also mentioned, Mr. IUIC, was located where? In the basement of the African Union Church in the 1840s. The opening of another school in the AME Zion Church was also at least planned. Seneca villages, in fact, seem to have been in better position to send their children to school than the parents of Little Africa. Almost 3/4 of the children of Seneca Village had recently attended school. What school? The schools that were in the basement of the black church. So we had a black church purchase land. We had the black church create the schools within these buildings for the children. And these children were actually better equipped scholastically than other parts of New York. Why? Because of the church. Because of the church. Yes, Michelle. Churches. Shout out to Michelle Turner, Bodega ladies in the check-in. Churches. And as the 1850 census shows, they value education both for themselves and their children. Nearly two-thirds of the men could read and write. And as for the children, almost 3/4 of them had attended school within the year. They presumably went to Colored School Number 3, where? Which was housed where? In the basement of one of the churches. Furthermore, 3/4 of the older children between the ages of 12 and 16 have also, quote, attended school within the year. Underlining the value of education as attending upper school must not have been easy. We know of no high school in the area. So the kids and the adults knew how to read and write. Nearly 2/3 of the men could read and write. And as for the children, almost 3/4 of them had attended school within the year. The church brought land so that people could live there. And while they were living there, they were able to get a education. They learn to read and write in the basement of a church building. They learn how to read and write at a church that purchased the land that they lived in. And the reason why I call hypocrisy on IUIC is that every day on your various channels, and they have many, right? And I'm from New York. There's an IUIC Queens channel. There's a Brooklyn channel, Harlem, right? New Rochelle, all Buffalo. That's just New York. We're never talking about the East Coast, Midwest, and the West and the South. These guys have tons of YouTube channels, tons of TikTok, tons of Instagram pages. And every day they put out stuff like this. The black church is out of control. The Christian church comparable to a fly. Black Christians are spiritually dead in America. Right? And I just took these are videos that came out this week. This week. So, you know, were the black Christians spiritually dead when they brought that land in Seneca Village? Dead when they were able to build these schools in these basements so that the men and the children could learn how to read? Were they spiritually dead when the guy that you actually mentioned at the beginning of the video was able to purchase some of this land 2 years prior to slavery being abolished? Come on now. Come on now. Come on now. You're hypocrites. You're hypocrites. You are hypocrites. Because you can't, on one side of your neck and your face, badmouth and critique and disparage the church, but then on the other side of your mouth, look what we created here. We had churches. No, we did not. You don't. We had churches. Yes, you don't. You don't. You guys got to stop it. Pick a side. If you want to be down with us, pledge your fealty to Jesus, get this gospel, and become our brothers and sisters. Until then, lay off the history of the church. Lay off. You critique it all the time. But then you want to slip and sneak in and lay claim to the things that you like about the church. No. Either the church is, hell in a handbasket carried by Satan, or it was a great institution then and now to not only save our souls, but our bodies as well. Which one is it going to be? If we the ops, bro, all the way. Keep it a bean. If we the ops, we're the ops. It's not we the ops, except for these few times that, we kind of like want to share some credit. No, fam. No. You want to embrace this history, you're going to have to embrace this gospel first. That's what you're going to have to do. You think you're slick. You think you're slick. Seneca Village had nothing to do with Hebrew Israelites. Had everything to do with black Christians, though. It was the black Christians that brought the land. It was the black Christians that created the schools in these churches. It was the black Christians that taught other black men and children how to read and write. Over 2/3 of them in that village. They were actually better equipped educationally than other black neighborhoods. Why? Guess why? Because there was churches there. Because there were churches there. And I'm telling every time you guys do this, I'm calling you out. If you hate us and you think we are a detriment to black people and we're just as bad as hypertension is to black folk, stay on that, bro. Stay on that. But if you want to let it go and be with us. Let's be together. Let's help the rest of the world come to Christ. But you can't have it both ways. That's why I'm calling hypocrisy. You're talking out of both sides of your mouth. You want to condemn the church all day long, but then like when no one's looking, oh well, we had churches. We had churches, man. We had churches. We did not, sir. We did not. So that's it. That's what I wanted to share with you guys. And again, notice they are disingenuous. If they're not busy pulling things out of context, they're laying claim and trying to take credit for things that had nothing to do with, which is just as bad. If the church is wicked, the church is orderly wicked. We had churches. No, we did not. The Christians had churches. You did it. You did it. But again, if you want to embrace and become part of the heritage, which is the church, we welcome you with open arms with this gospel. Repent and change your heart and pledge your fealty, your believing loyalty to Yeshua HaMashiach. Actually make him your Lord and not your ethnicity. If you're ready and willing to do that, I know a bunch of brothers and sisters that will help you to understand the gospel and to help you carry out the gospel in real time, practically, until you transition or Christ comes back, whatever comes first. Whatever comes first. But you got to let this go. Because on the low, you kind of digging us. You talk crazy, right? But there was no one's looking. We had churches. Because deep down, you know what it is, man. You know what it is. You know you're in need of Jesus. And not the rhetoric that you spew out on these channels. And we're ready to listen. And we're ready to serve you. I'm ready to help you to truly be united in Christ. All right? So, with that being said, BK signing off. Peace.